Well, hello there, and welcome. We're going to do enemy UFOs, and this is a rare recording this before I've actually done it live before the students. So here we go. This is what our demo is here for this one. It's what we're looking to have when we're done with this project. We're going to have 3 different enemy ships flying towards us. I start you off loaded with a lot of Bozo the Clowns. You'll see here later, but hopefully it'll motivate you to get your own ships. So this whole thing is going to be a major change to the whole program. Anything involving obstacles is going to disappear. All these obstacle variables, they're going to change into a new name. And the new name for these will be, I'll turn on caps lock, enemy underbar ship. Well, try again. Enemy underbar ship. And so we're going to have an enemy underbar ship width, and we're going to set the width of our ship to 50. And then I'm going to take advantage immediately of copying and pasting. I'm going to replace the word obstacle up to the underbar. So now I've got an enemy ship height. Enemy ship height is going to be 25. So right there, right off the bat, we're off to a big change. We used to have 30 and 100. Now we're 50 and 25. Width of 50, height of 25. And we will not be having number of obstacles. We're going to have a number of enemy. I'll just take it right to there. And a number of enemy. I can do this. I can make it all work. I'll leave the S. Some enemy ships. And there's going to be 3 of them. 3 enemy ships. So that's the plan for that. Now, as I move down, you're going to see that I have left here for you. This is kind of nice, but we're going to throw away obstacle. We won't need it anymore. Goodbye. I've set up an enemy ship array here for you. This is an enemy ship array. You're going to set this up. Where we're going to stick all of our enemy ships. And I've set up for you an enemy ship 1, enemy ship 2, and enemy ship 3. I've already loaded up some web images here for you for all 3 of these. And this is other variable, enemy ship offset. So I'm actually giving you some stuff here. Hooray, Mr. Booth is merciful. Now, we've broken our code, by the way. If you try to run your code, you're going to find that we've broken some things. So as quick as possible, let's unbreak our code to get it back to running again. So I'm going to go down in the code to where we used to have adding obstacles and we used to have moving obstacles. And I'm just going to go ahead and go to add obstacles, and I'm going to highlight it all, and I'm going to delete it. Goodbye, add obstacles. Goodbye. It was nice. You're gone. I'm going to go to move obstacles, and move obstacles is going to suffer the same fate because we got new functions. We've got functions like add enemy ships, which we'll take that, copy that function name right there, add enemy ships. And we'll go up to the setup function. In the setup function where we used to set up our obstacles, we're going to go ahead and paste our add enemy ships function right there. That's going to add our enemy ships. Notice the comment is already prepared for you. Create the enemy ships. Now I will roll back down past add enemy ships and stop at move enemy ships. I'm going to copy that function name, move enemy ships. Got that copied. Going back up to the game loop now. The game loop, that's where we used to move the obstacles. We're not going to move the obstacles anymore. Now we're going to make the enemy ships move. And that's going to be a call to move enemy ships. Now I've got these 2 functions set up here. And let me just double check something real quick. Good. I made some changes recently. Hit the run code button. Hey, look, there's Bozo the Clown. Gonna have to get rid of Bozo. Bozo's gotta go. Guy is such a bozo. So I'm gonna go over here to my adding a particle stream. And actually, I'm gonna steal it from right there. I like that vehicle. Copy that vehicle. And over here in enemy UFOs, there's my vehicle right there. I'm going to paste this vehicle here. So now look, I got a new vehicle here. Hooray, a new vehicle. And then I'm going to close that little thing because it's irritating me. Over here in add particle stream, this is the one that we did on Monday. I'm going to go grab all my colors. There they are in all their glory, all my colors. And paste my colors here. All my colors. Excellent. Good. This is beginning to look like a lot like my game. All right. But notice something. The obstacle is gone. There's no more obstacle. Just our little UFO. All right. Well, we're going to have to bring the obstacle back to life in the form of enemy ships. That's going to be fun. All right. So now that we've got our look of our game restored, let's go focus on this add enemy ship function and move enemy ship function. So our add enemy ship function, it's got a for loop here that's in charge of things, and I have an indentation error there. I'll try to make sure I take that out of the starter code, but if it's there, we'll fix it. But here we go. This for loop is going to start at I equals 0, and it's going to go up to, and I don't want to type this stuff if I don't have to, num enemy ships. Going to num enemy ships. There we go. So I'm going to replace that 0 that's there currently with num enemy ships. And then we are going to generate a random X position. We're also going to generate a random Y position. So random X and Y position. There we go. There's an improved comment for you. So var X position. So X position, this is going to be equal to, and see, I don't want all these ships to spawn in the same X position. I want the first one to spawn right on the, just off screen, just over here off screen. I want that first one to spawn there. But the second ship, I want that ship to spawn even further off screen. So as the ships move, as the ships are moving on, the first ship's going to move on screen. Let me see if I can do this right here. There we go, from over here. Yeah, there we go. So the first ship's going to move onto the screen. There's the first ship. And the second ship's going to move onto the screen. And these two ships will have some space between them. And I'm doing this very poorly. But so I'm going to be setting their X position based on this variable I and doing a little bit of math. So I will be taking advantage of one of my favorite variables, screen width. Plus, I'm going to take that variable I and I'm going to multiply that times, and since I've already typed it once, screen width divided by 3, 1/3 of the screen width. This is going to cause our ships to be evenly spaced. As one of the ships is scrolling off, it will immediately scroll on. There will, at most times, be 3 ships on the screen at some part, with only just a brief moment of 2 ships on the screen. We're going to need a second one, which we're going to call random Y. And this one will be equal to a randomizer.nextInt. And the way we're going to run this from, and again, because it's involving so many of these constants up at the top, I'm going to go grab them. And the one I'm looking for here has to do with the terrain. Maximum terrain height. So I'm going to copy that. Max terrain height. So that's what it's going to start at. Max terrain height plus a little buffer of 10. I might turn that into a variable someday. That's the smallest value that I want. So not 0. It's the maximum terrain height plus 10 more. I want there to be a little bit of space between the ship and the terrain. Not enough to get my ship through, but anyway, a little space. And for the other end of this range, I want it to be the screen height minus, and I'll set up a set of parentheses here and put a semicolon on the end. And I'm going to just copy max terrain height plus 10. Fixed it right there. Max terrain height plus 10. So remember, we're setting a y value. So I'm going from, a little bit more than 0, the max terrain height, which I think is 40, plus 10, so 50 pixels down, and screen height, but subtracting back 50 pixels. This is going to create like a buffer area where we'll never have any ships spawning, because that's where all the terrain's going to be. So we've got these random y and random x positions that can now be generated. And let me just check one other thing there. Yeah. So next we're going to be setting ourselves up to load the individual ships. If you look back up here, you'll notice that I've got 3 different files for the enemy ships. There's 3 web images here that have been provided to you. And so what I'm going to look at here is, again, looking at that variable I. And I'm going to look at I mod 3. And if I mod 3 equals 0, then I'm going to create this local variable called enemy ship. And it's going to be equal to enemy ship 1. What do I mean by that? Well, again, look at these files I made. There's enemy ship 1, which is this web image, enemy ship 2, which is that web image, and enemy ship 3, which is that web image. Rather than have to load that whole image down there, just like I did for the vehicle, I'm just making these enemy ships. Those are the enemy ship game objects. So back down here. If I mod 3 equals 1, then I'm going to steal this, paste it, change 1 into 2. Then I want my enemy ship to be enemy ship 2. And if I mod 3 equals 2, paste that again, and the enemy ship's going to be set equal to 3. So this way, every time I pass through the for loop, when I equals 0, I'm going to make the enemy ship 1. When I is 1, I'm going to make the enemy ship 2. And when I is 2, I'm going to make the enemy ship 3. Now, we're going to set the rest of the parameters here to get our enemy ship so that they'll be spawned off screen. This is going to actually spawn all 3 of them. They'll all be spawned off screen, but we won't be able to see them until we start setting them in motion. I could make one of them peak, probably, if I wanted to. So here we go. Enemy ship. This is, of course, our local variable, dot. Set size. And we're going to set that to the enemy ship width and the enemy ship height. Enemy ship width. And enemy ship height. So that's going to set the size of the enemy ship. And we want to copy enemy ship here. Enemy ship dot set position. Now the position we're going to set for our enemy ship. We have already generated these numbers. There's an X position, paste here, and there's a random Y. I'll paste right there. There we go. Now I'll get the enemy ship again. And we have enemy ship dot is enemy ship equals true. So here we are tagging our enemy ship as an enemy ship. So we know that it is labeled. Now we have that enemy ship array up there at the top. Right where I defined the web images, the enemy ship array. So we'll grab that enemy ship array and I'll use the square bracket, put the I in it, and that's going to be equal to this enemy ship we've been building here. That's going to store this copy. Each of these enemy ships will get stored in the enemy ship array, and it's indexed by the I variable. Lastly, we want to make sure that the enemy ship is added to the screen. And if I did it all right, which I'm optimistic and hopeful, that created a big problem. Wow. What happened to my whole screen? Kind of fun to make a mistake in code like this. So I found it. It took me a little bit. In fact, I'm very amused by it because the neat thing is you can see all of the ships are there. And so I may make this mistake on purpose live in class because the cool thing is this mistake reveals that, yes, all of the enemy ships get put in there. Not only that, as I run the code again and again, the ships spawn in different locations, of course, because that whole random Y line of code right there is doing its job. But here's what Mr. Booth messed up on. Does an equal sign go right there? I don't think so. And that made a lot of things really confused. What really goes there is a plus symbol. I wanted to be adding there. And so I sure hope I don't do that live in front of class. But yeah, maybe I'll remember to because pretty cool effect. I press the G key and of course I'm flying and everything's working. Everything's working just fine. Now that I found my bug, captured live on camera. Alrighty. So my add enemy ships function is now done. That's great. We've added a lot of code here. Now we need to make these ships start moving. All right. So again, because I want to steal whenever possible, I want to copy code that I can utilize again. I'm going to copy that. I want my for loop down here when I'm moving these enemy ships. I want it also to go through, num enemy ships times through the for loop. So I'm going to change that limit from 0 to num enemy ships. Then here I need to get the ith enemy ship. And a nice way to do this would be, we'll make a local variable here. We'll call it enemy ship. Don't get these confused, okay? This enemy ship variable up here in add enemy ships. This is a local variable created in add enemy ships and only exists in there. Down here, I know I'm giving it that same name, enemy ship, but this variable is also local, only exists inside of move enemy ships. And in fact, this local variable gets recreated 3 times because we have 3 enemy ships and we got to move all 3 of them. That's why it has to be a local variable. And I get away with using that name over and over. Now, it's going to be equal to, and now I've got code I can borrow from. I want the enemy ship array's ith element. So I'll go copy that and paste it. And that saved a lot of unpleasant typing. And I'll copy enemy ship right here. I want to make it move. And I will be making it move using our favorite speed variable in X, 0, and Y. Don't forget your Terminator. Now, our ships can move. Because I've set them in motion, our ships should be moving. They should be coming towards us. When I press the G key, here they come. There's the first one, the second one, the third one, and it's goodbye forever and ever and ever. The ships are gone. Because all I've done is tell them to move. I haven't told them that, hey, when you've reached the other side of the screen, you need to come back and start all over again. That's what's going on here with this. Hopefully you're already thinking that I bet it's going to involve getting the ship's X position, because we're looking at when the ship is going off the screen there, and indeed, we're looking at the X position. And I want to know when that is less than, and it's going to be a negative number, and the negative number I want, because it's such a huge variable, is the enemy ship width. I'll go grab that, come back down here to move enemy ships, find that minus symbol I put in there, and there we go. So if my enemy ships.getX, if it's less than negative enemy ship's width, in other words, if it's gone the whole width of the ship off the screen, then it's time to move this thing around. So we're going to generate a random value. But the thing is, sometimes I would like the ship to spawn in the top half of the screen after it wraps. Other times I'd like it to spawn in the bottom half of the screen. So I'm going to just set up a little simple, I'm looking at the I variable, and if I mod 2 is equal to 0, then I want to have this ship spawn up in the top half of the screen. And so I'm going to go steal that random Y. I'm going to just steal the whole thing from up there. Copy that. Come down here. I'll paste it. But I'm going to have to do some major change to it here, okay? Yeah, it's going to start off max train height times 10, but then we're going to delete not quite all of that, but quite a bit of it. We need that closing parenthesis right there, but we're going to divide it by 2. That'll just get us right to the middle of the screen. And then we are going to generate another random Y here, only this one's going to go from, cut this, Control X, starting off at the screen height divided by 2, and then going to the screen height minus the max terrain height plus 10. So I kind of broke up that first random Y into these 2 different statements. So this is just going to get us so that our ships will be sometimes spawning top or bottom of the screen, have some space in between them. And we want to wrap the enemy ship. And so that's going to just be enemy ship dot set position. And the position we're going to set it to is going to be our screen width plus this variable that I made up there at the top, enemy ship offset going to be its X position, and its Y position will just be this random Y. And with that bit of code there, our ships are going to be wrapping. And we have 3 of them on the screen. We almost always have 3 of them on the screen. All right. So now that concludes the first stage of this whole enemy UFOs section of the development of the game here. We're also going to now add a bunch of cool stuff that has to do with making the terrain have that just amazing look here. Not only does the terrain have that look, the terrain, even before I've started to play the game, things are moving. And that's going to be kind of fun to set that effect up. We're going to have to add a new timer called the terrain timer. Anyway, that's going to come in the next video. This one's gone on long enough. We got enemy ships in the game, and we'll be doing this tomorrow in first block, and we'll do it on Wednesday in second, fourth, and sixth block. And Mr. Boo's so happy. No jury duty. I'm off the hook for 2 years. Hey, don't forget to like and subscribe. Take care now.